Hello, my name is Brendan, and welcome back to Brendan's Film Reviews. Today, I will be doing my spoiler-free review. I won't be spoiling anything of Spider-Man Brand New Day. With that, let's just get right into this review. Now, really quick, I want to preface and say that it's currently storming and raining a little bit around my house, so should you hear like any major thunder cracks and all that stuff, that's what that is. Obviously, this is a sequel, and as you know, before I talk about any film, I want to talk about the previous films before I move into that. So I'm going to talk about this a little bit because I'm still doing my MC rewatch. I'm going to do it now leading up to Avengers Doomsday because obviously Fantastic Four First Steps has already gone by. So I'm going to start by talking about just a little bit about the Homecoming trilogy as a whole. And honestly, it's a little bit different from the comics and most any Spider-Man movie. It's a little unconventional, but I still think what they did with it was really well done, and I really like especially No Way Home and how it ended. I like all three of those movies. So going into this movie, I was hoping to at least keep that momentum, keep the idea that the MCU Spider-Man movies are still some of the best, and I think this movie is a worthy Spider-Man movie. To start, I want to talk about just maturity a little bit, and the fact that Peter Parker in this movie, he just seems older and more mature. One thing I've always wanted from a Spider-Man movie is to see Spider-Man grow and evolve as he gets older. Because obviously most the other Spider-Man movies, are all obviously, they started as origin movies, and most of the time he's either in high school or college. I want to see Spider-Man kind of grow up and evolve through these movies as he goes into adulthood and he goes into his crime fighting career and the prime of his crime fighting career. And this movie is the closest thing I feel like we've gotten to that because he just seems way more mature and just way more older and wiser in what he does in this movie. And I think they really do a good job of just showing how much time has passed and just how much older he is now and stuff like that. Next, I do want to talk about the emotional moments of this movie, more specifically, how it kind of handles the ending of No Way Home. One thing that I was kind of nervous about was how they were going to handle the ending of No Way Home. And I really feel like they did a great job of handling that moment. They don't undermine that moment, and they don't really make it, less of a big deal, I guess is the best way to put it. They don't try to go around it. They don't try to fix it or anything like that. They do a really, really good job of just respecting that ending and showing how much it's changed his life. And it kind of goes into this feeling of loneliness in this sense that Peter Parker is all alone. And I think they do a good job of emulating that kind of idea that he's alone, he's lonely, and all that stuff. And I think that kind of theme resonates with a lot of people, and I think it was really well handled in this movie. I really thought they did a good job of just handling the ending of No Way Home and all that stuff. Another thing I did like about this movie was the action. Obviously, this is by Destin Daniel Cretton and a new director for this franchise, and he just brings this new sense of action. Not to say that John Watts' action was bad or anything, it's just everything feels so much more practical, from the suit and just seeing the wrinkles and all that stuff, how it's imperfect. And on top of that, the web slings, all that stuff, it feels more real, and it feels more like he's actually doing this stuff, and it doesn't feel CGI'd over most of the time. I did also really like the sense that this movie goes into the kind of idea that Spider-Man is a street-level character, and he deals with street-level issues. And a lot of what happens in this movie, none of it is really like, oh, this big, cataclysmic kind of, end of the world type stuff. It's just street-level. Spider-Man takes care of his neighborhood, and you see more of New York in this movie. And I think that's something that the Spider-Man movies from the John Watts trilogy was missing. And I think they really do a good job of just showing this New York and just showing this world and how Spider-Man protects his city and all that stuff. And I think it was really well done. I do want to talk about the characters a little bit, as I usually do, starting with, again, Peter Parker. Peter Parker, again, he is lonely in this movie. He is feeling the consequences of No Way Home. He's alone. He has nobody. Nobody knows who he is. No one knows his face. None of that. And they really show how good an actor Tom Holland could be in this movie. Not just him, but also Zendaya as MJ. I really like that they brought back MJ and Ned for this movie, because that is the emotional aspect of this movie. And I really like the arc that Peter goes through in this movie. And again, Tom Holland and Zendaya really show how good of an actor and actress they can be in this movie. With just some of the emotional scenes they have, and just, it's very well written, and I was so impressed and so happy with how they delivered on this movie. Other characters include, of course, John Bernthal as the Punisher. The Punisher doesn't really have a major arc in this movie, or at least to me he didn't. And honestly, I'm kind of glad he didn't, because I don't think he really needed one. And I think he was a nice addition to this kind of bigger MCU. He shows that, or excuse me, he kind of makes this world feel lived in, and that there's all these heroes running around. He's also a bit of a comic relief in this movie, and a lot of the comedy comes from him. Most of the time, and most of the stuff he was doing, I was laughing throughout the movie. I think they really did a good job of bringing him in, and they didn't undermine the fact that he's a rated R character and that he kills people, all that stuff. So I think the Punisher was handled well. One character I was a bit iffy on was Bruce Banner's the Hulk. I was kind of nervous going in, because we just had Captain America Brave New World, and I didn't want it to feel a little bit like that. But honestly, Bruce Banner is kind of barely in this movie. He only has really 2 scenes in this movie, and that's just about it. I do kind of wish that they handled him a little bit better in execution, because I feel they kind of just throw him in and then kind of forget about him later. And that's kind of frustrating, because he kind of, after that second scene, he kind of just leaves the movie, never comes back. I wasn't hoping for more Hulk scenes. I was just kind of hoping that they would have done a little bit more, since it is the Hulk and he's a founding Avenger. But that's just me, and I really like the action sequence between Spider-Man and the Hulk. I thought that was incredible. And the final character I'm going to talk about is, of course, Sadie Sink's character. Again, I'm not spoiling anything, so I can't reveal who she plays in this movie. The only thing I'm going to say is I think they handled the character very well. I did kind of see the twist about her character coming, and I think they did a good job with that twist late in the movie. But again, I'm not going to talk about who she is or what she does in this movie, because I feel if I go any deeper than that, it's just going to spoil what character she plays. Just note that she's a very important character in this movie, and I think she was very well done. So I've been talking about all of the stuff I liked. I do have to get into some nitpicky stuff, but this section is pretty small, as there's really only a couple things that bothered me. The first was the star of the movie. The star of the movie felt a little, I guess, clunky a little bit. Like there is some some kind of bad CGI moments, and there's this very weird transition that feels like it's from like a Madam Web or Morbius or Craven kind of movie. But again, it's more nitpicky stuff. And like I said, I do kind of wish they did a little bit more with the Hulk. It's not a huge deal, but it is something that bothered me a little bit. But honestly, those are really the only nitpicks I really had. Again, I think this is a really great movie, and honestly, to me, this is probably the best Tom Holland Spider-Man MCU film, or the MCU Spider-Man film we've had. This movie is emotionally, there's more emotion in this movie than any other MCU Spider-Man movie, And I think the message this movie brings in and talk about loneliness and all that stuff, I think is well handled and should emotionally resonate with some people, a lot of people. I think the maturity's there. I love the action, the atmospheric world that movie set in, I think is well done. This movie for me gets a 9 out of 10. It was an incredible movie to watch, and Spider-Man fans should easily see this movie. And even fans that aren't fans of Spider-Man and just film fans in general looking for a good time should also see this movie. This is one of the best of the year for me. And with that, thank you so much for watching this review. I apologize for the lack of uploads recently. I've been having problems with my recordings, so obviously I'm trying to get that figured out. But I did get this one out, and I'm happy about that, and I want to get more out, so I will try to get more out as I go along. Again, I apologize for the lack of uploads, but I will try to get more out to you guys. And as I said before, thank you so much for watching this review. I will see you in the next video. Take care.